In the face of a spate of recent home invasions and homeowners being charged for trying to defend themselves, this idea that somehow using a pellet gun to repel an invader is a magical get out of jail free card has resurfaced again. Therefore, I felt it incumbent upon me to have a look at that again here on Don't Talk TV so that people can make informed decisions. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. I don't think it comes as a surprise or some big news to people that there's been a rise in home invasions in Canada lately, at least in terms of the publicity they've been receiving. And we've also seen some people charged in highly controversial moves by police when they've tried to defend themselves against these invasions. And as we talked about last week in the live stream, police are saying the solution is to cooperate with these individuals. And I guess the York Regional Police, they want you to just come on in. You know, here's my belongings and my wife's upstairs. It's a bit perplexing, but that's not the perplexing thing I want to talk about today. Today, we have to have a look at this concept that if you're going to get in trouble by using other things to defend yourself, somehow pellet guns, you'll never get in trouble for that. That seems what some people are suggesting. And I know I'm already going to get some hate in the comments section, which please bring on the hate. All the more comments, the merrier, and likes as well. Please, we appreciate and encourage people to like and comment, even if you think I'm completely out to lunch. But as a lawyer, it's my job to know the law and to try to give people some information on the law so that they can make informed decisions. So I'm not telling you what to do. People seem to get upset about that and say, you know, how dare you? You don't have the right to tell me what to do. You're right. I don't have the right to tell you what to do. I think I do have the right and, in fact, the duty to give you the information so that you can make an informed decision yourself. So I'm not telling anyone what to do in this video, but I do hope you'll have a look at the information I present on why I don't think using pellet guns are a good idea legally or practically. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that this is resurfaced again. So we've got Jeff Everly here, an individual who's gained notoriety for picking up over $28,000 in fines for stepping into a forest in, I believe it's Nova Scotia. He's now advertising for this Burna place, some kind of pellet gun. So here's his post on X. Link will be in the show description. As always, as they come in black too. Would you risk learning the hard way whether I'm aiming my pellet launcher or my 9mm at you? Most savages won't either. They're too low IQ to tell the difference anyway. Burna to the rescue. They're perfectly legal, non-lethal means of self-defense, no permit required. They're basically just 50 cal airsoft guns. They'll knock the piss out of any home invading fish-eyed flopper while keeping you out of trouble with the criminals in government. So here's where I say, you know, they're trying to say this is a get out of jail free card. Keeping you out of trouble with the criminals in our government if you use this for self-defense. I don't understand this line of thinking. Let's have a look at one of those recent cases I talked about, the one in Kawartha Lake. So this one, the home intruder was armed with a crossbow. And so this is, Kawartha Lake's police charged Michael Kyle Breen after he allegedly entered Jeremy McDonald's residence at 3 a.m. on a morning. McDonald was sleeping when he woke up to find Breen in his apartment. So, here's the thing. McDonald used a knife during the altercation, and he got charged with aggravated assault. So I ask the viewer, just from a general common sense logic approach, without looking at the law, if a man defends himself with a knife against a crossbow-wielding intruder, why on earth would a pellet gun not attract the same penalty or the same treatment by the police? If you're going to go down on a charge for using a knife, I would submit you're definitely going to go down for a pellet gun. And especially since, as I covered in more detail in episode 238, which I recommend viewers have a look at that for a more detailed look at what I'm going to go over just quickly right here. A pellet gun is considered a firearm under Canadian law. So as far as Canadian law enforcement and courts are concerned, using your 9mm, if you have one, is going to be treated the same as using a pellet gun. So with all due respect, Mr. Everly is leading people astray as a result of his lack of knowledge of Canadian law. And that's highly dangerous because people not only might go to jail, they might get themselves killed thinking that it's somehow legally safer to use a pellet gun in a scenario where a firearm would be treated the same. But ask yourself, what's going to have more stopping power when someone's trying to murder you? A pellet gun or a firearm? Yet they're treated the same under Canadian law. So you can decide for yourself, if your life's on the line, which you'd rather have defending it. But let's have a quick look at this Ontario Court of Appeal decision from 2013. This is paragraph 40 of Her Majesty the Queen and Dunn, D-U-N-N, citation is 2013 ONCA 539. And again, I went over this case in more detail in episode 238, and the link is in the show description if you want to read more of the case. But the key here is paragraph 40, where it says, to understand the scheme of the legislation, that being Canada's firearm legislation, and specifically charges under the criminal code for discharge firearm with intent, careless use of a weapon, assault with a weapon, etc., it's helped to identify the different ways in which Parliament deals with barreled weapons. One way is by focusing on the capability of the object to cause serious bodily harm or death. And the test for that is whether a pig's eye could be ruptured by being hit at close range by that item. Pellet guns are capable of doing that. So they go on to say the broad definition of firearms, section 2, is any barreled weapon from which any shot, bullet, or other projectile can be discharged, and that is capable of causing serious bodily injury or death to a person. So that's that pig's eye test I just referenced. So they talk about the evidence in this case was that a barreled weapon capable of causing seriously bodily harm or death to a person if it fires projectile more than 214 feet per second. And then it references that pig's eye test. Pellet guns generally exceed 214 feet per second. And also notice Mr. Everly says nothing about how many feet per second. So I don't know about that Berna thing. It's probably over 214 feet per second. The point is he doesn't know, you don't know, I don't know. Most likely this thing will be treated like a firearm. So that's my second point, I suppose. First, we argued from logic. Second, we're looking at the law in terms of what our courts and by extension the police will consider a firearm. So pellet gun going to be treated the same as a firearm. So he's wrong there. But then we also have to consider, are Canadians allowed to carry weapons for the purpose of self-defense? Now, episode 41 is a more detailed look at what makes an item a weapon, but short version is a weapon is either an item that's designed for the purpose of causing bodily harm or an item that is used to cause bodily harm. So baseball bat, for example, it is not a weapon because by design it's designed to hit baseballs. But if you take that weapon and hit someone with it, you've now turned that into a weapon. Carrying it for the purpose of self-defense makes it a weapon because you're going to hit someone with it or threaten someone with it in order to defend yourself. So the question is it a possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose, which is a crime under the Criminal Code of Canada, to carry a weapon for self-defense? Short answer, yes. And now this started changing. I can find case law from 1971 that suggests that it is okay to carry a weapon for self-defense. But so if we take a look at this Supreme Court decision, Her Majesty the Queen and Kerr, 2004, SCC 44, Supreme Court of Canada decision. Again, the link is in the show description. Paragraph 38 here essentially gives a summary of the Supreme Court's decision here. And they say, the only time it's legal to carry a weapon for self-defense is under these circumstances here. It says, thus, only where the attack is completely inescapable is possession of a weapon to thwart the attack, not possession for a purpose dangerous to the public peace. To the contrary, the purposeful act then constitutes an abatement of a danger to the public peace, namely an attack on oneself. Many indicia will be relevant to the determination of avoidability, including inter alia, or among other things, location, atmosphere, nature of the threat, imminence of the danger, and actual use. So the key here is it has to be a completely inescapable attack on yourself, and it has to be imminent. So a generalized carrying of a weapon or possessing of a weapon for self-defense is not permitted under Canadian law. It's considered a purpose dangerous to the public peace, which personally, this is not me saying what the law is, saying what I personally think. If I was on the Supreme Court, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because by extension, does that not mean then that police officers and their constant carrying of weaponry, is that not dangerous to public peace? Of course it's not. I don't think that just because it's a civilian, it's therefore now dangerous. But that said, the law is the law. It's not I don't tell people what I want the law to be on this channel. I'm telling you what the law is, and you have to contemplate what the law is when making a decision. So quickly to recap, I would urge you not to listen to Mr. Everly. I think he's going to get people in trouble if they listen to that. Pellet guns are not a get out of jail free card when it comes to self-defense. One, as we've seen in Kawartha Lakes, a knife will land you in jail. So I would submit a pellet gun is going to as well, because a pellet gun is a ranged weapon. A knife is a melee weapon, so you have to get within arm's distance to use it. Pellet gun, you can use from across the room. 2, Canadian law would suggest that pellet guns are firearms. They're going to be treated the same as firearms. So no difference between using an actual firearm and a pellet gun, other than one's going to be way more effective in defending you. And 3, possession of anything for the purpose of self-defense is effectively unlawful in Canada. So knowing that's the law, you can make an informed decision. Now, this episode is not per se legal advice. It's legal information with which you can inform yourself. But if you have specific questions, you want specific legal advice to a particular situation that you're in, you need to speak to a lawyer. And that, if you want that lawyer to be me, my contact information is listed below. And we can talk about a retainer or a consultation to discuss a specific case, because you need information and advice that's tailored to the specifics of you and your situation. Now, we're always interested in hearing your suggestions, recommendations, questions, so please send those to the email address listed below, and we'd be happy to try to incorporate that into our show schedule. We want to be responsive to what viewers want to learn about on this channel. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media.